hours away from the House vote on whether to officially launch an impeachment inquiry against President Biden, as his son Hunter defies a congressional subpoena in a pretty brazen move, skipping his deposition, and instead, in this shocking turn of events, he took to the mic in front of the Capitol to defend himself and his father. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany, here with my co-host Emily Compagno. Also joining us, Fox News correspondent Molly Line, Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall, and Fox News contributor and senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, Mark Thiessen. Well, in his remarks, Hunter Biden blamed shameless MAGA Republicans for targeting him and his family. And he said his father was not, get this, financially, keyword, involved in his business dealings.
I'm here today to answer at a public hearing any legitimate questions Chairman Comer and the House Oversight Committee may have for me. I'm here today to make sure that the House Committee's illegitimate investigations of my family do not proceed on distortions, manipulated evidence, and lies. For 6 years, I have been the target of the unrelenting Trump attack machine, shouting, "Where's Hunter?" Well, here's my answer. I am here. Let me state as clearly as I can. My father was not financially involved in my business, not as a practicing lawyer, not as a board member of Burisma, not in my partnership with a Chinese private businessman, not in my investments at home nor abroad, and certainly not as an artist. In the depths of my addiction, I was extremely irresponsible with my finances. But to suggest that is grounds for an impeachment inquiry is beyond the absurd. It's shameless. There is no evidence to support the allegations that my father was financially involved in my business because it did not happen. Republicans do not want an open process where Americans can see their tactics, expose their baseless inquiry, or hear what I have to say. What are they afraid of? I'm here. I'm ready.
Leslie Marshall, Joe Biden said there's an absolute wall between my government duties and family's influence peddling. That was not true. He has said that his family didn't receive any money from China. That was not true. His family did. He claimed he never spoke to his son about his business dealings. That was not true. So what do you say to the American people?
I say to the American people, if we're going to impeach every president or if we're going to chastise every politician for lying, then everybody has to go down. Sadly, every president's lied. Every politician's lied. We all have lied. All humans lie. It's not a pretty thing. But I do want to quote Tom Emmer. He's a Republican from Minnesota. And there was a reason that Republicans not only took a year to get to this point of inquiry, but there was a lot of pushback from some Republicans who were in very hotly contested races with an election coming up. And he emphasized that we are not ready to charge the president, and if they uncover, and only if they uncover, evidence of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors, then there will be steps to impeach. Here's the thing, and I said this with former President Trump. I don't believe in impeachment unless you're going to remove, there's actually a crime where a president can be removed. And I think we would all agree that's why Nixon resigned, okay? But Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and now Joe Biden, they're not going to be, they weren't, and he won't be removed from office. So it's a waste of taxpayer time and money now.
We have specific questions for the president's son. He does not get to dictate the terms of this subpoena.
We think he should come in, and if he doesn't, we're gonna move forward with contempt proceedings. There's a process we have to follow, but we plan to do that.
That was House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer and House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan threatening to begin the process of holding Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress after the president's son failed to appear for his closed-door deposition this morning. And sort of on that train, Leslie, I want to talk to you about Capitol, not the Capitol, but the Capitol of Hunter sort of abiding by the law. So do you feel that his defiance and resistance, will that engender him to the American people or maybe a potential jury? And this is not unrelated or divorced from the potential for impeachment investigation here. So why didn't he just show up, go to the room and say, no comment, I plead the fifth the whole time, and then be able to say, hey, I showed up. I respect the rule of law. I respect government. You know, this defiance sort of only serves to intensify the feeling so many people have that Biden's just get away with everything because they feel that they can.
Well, first of all, Angie said that Hunter Biden's attorney is one of the best legal minds in Washington, D.C., and I think we're seeing that play out today. Remember, Hunter Biden didn't wake up and say, I'm going to defy this. I'm not going to go in. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not even going to go. No, his lawyer has instructed him on what to say. That was written, obviously, a script that he read off of. You know, look, the way I look at it, Hunter Biden is saying to the American people, this is political. And, you know, at first people might say, oh, well, what happened with Jim Jordan, right? And like Andy said, you don't have a full House vote. And to Mark's point earlier, with regard to this inquiry for impeachment, Hunter Biden's, you know, pretty much looking to be the honest guy in all this today, at least. So I would say certainly people that just hate Hunter Biden. But I say if we're looking at it as a game, Hunter Biden 1, House Republicans 0.
Except his genius lawyer
says 1 out of 5.
Genius lawyer wrote the words financial. Right? So that was planned. That wasn't a stumble.
He said financial and other things at the beginning of his statement.
President Biden is facing an impeachment inquiry. Growing questions about his age, and his poll numbers right now are awful against former President Donald Trump, the leading candidate for the Republican nomination. Trump's winning in 5 of the 6 swing states in that New York Times Siena poll, with his lead increasing since July. So now it appears the administration and the left-wing media have been turning up the Trump alarmism, especially following these remarks from the former president. Well, that sent the media into a frenzy, generating headlines like Donald Trump's dictator. Promise is no joke. Trump's dictatorship is increasingly inevitable, and MAGA extremists are cheering Trump's dictator comments. And Mark Thiessen, this all came after Morning Joe Scarborough said that Trump would execute people. In the CNN poll this week, Trump leading in Michigan and Georgia.
If I were to look at polls 11 months out with any election, you know, whether my guy's winning or my guy's losing, and, you know, as a Democrat, I can't put a lot of stock in that. 11 months out is certainly not a predictor historically of any presidential election, regardless of, you know, who you want to win. But I like results. And what I like to see are exit polls. And I'm very happy with the exit polls I saw in October, especially in Ohio. What I'm very happy with are the midterm election exit polls. So I'm not worried yet. I know people think Democrats are hysterical, but I swear at the cocktail parties that we're having in my living room, that is just not true right now.
Well, the families of the American hostages held by Hamas speaking now at the White House after meeting with President Biden. Well, those were the families of the American hostages being held, and also 2 families of American hostages who have been released. You just heard there from Abigail Adon's aunt. And she made an important point. She said we need to talk about these hostages as people. They are not numbers. They are people. They are daughters. They are children. And we must share their stories. And that is what we do here each and every day on Outnumbered. Abigail Adon's aunt. Abigail Adon was a 4-year-old girl, orphaned because Hamas killed both of her parents. We all remember that emotional scene at Hatzarim Air Base when she came home to her aunt, to her relatives, wrapped in a blue and white blanket. And Molly, how powerful to hear from Abigail's aunt saying we want the Pope involved, we want everyone involved. She said we want a Christmas miracle because standing beside her is Ruby Chin, whose son Itai Chin, 19-year-old young man, still in the hands of Hamas team. Leslie.
Well, I think at the end of the day, we can look at polls and then we can look at humanity. And I think what the United States has shown, and our government certainly has shown, is they care about every human being. And that I think I loved, and we were all saying here, well, you know, the feed was rolling, that these are sons and these are daughters and these are mothers, and that these people, you know, have names. Also, the more than 4,000 Palestinian children that died have names. And I pray on Hanukkah and as Christmas comes for peace, so that all children, regardless of their religion, regardless of where they were born, regardless of their ethnicity, their culture, their gender, that they would know peace. Because there is a possibility. It seems impossible right now, but there is a possibility. And I'm so glad that our government is doing for these people and for their families what they should do, any government. And I'm glad that partisanship is put aside for that, because humanity should trump politics 100% of the time.
The United States House of Representatives has begun debate on the impeachment inquiry into President Biden. You're looking there. at Jim Jordan as he gives some remarks. This comes after Jamie Raskin gave some remarks, two quite divergent points. Look, Leslie, we have not heard from the White House today. In June, Karine Jean-Pierre asked about Hunter Biden. I'm not going to respond from here. September, she ran from the podium in response to Stephen Nelson. December, I have to be clear with you, I've not seen the report, so I'd have to refer you to my colleagues. And then she ran from the podium. Can't run from the podium today, Leslie Marshall.
Well, she can't run from the podium, but she also can't, say anything. There isn't a vote. And I do say that I trust Chad more than I do the speaker.
She has to say something. There's an impeachment inquiry vote on her boss today.
No, I don't think that she has to say anything. I think you say something after the vote. I mean, we don't know if they have all the votes. And I'm going to agree with Mark. It's Hanukkah, and I'm not just doing because it's Hanukkah. Wow. I'm agreeing with Mark. I know it's rare we agree with each other. But I agree with him. It's not like, okay, let's start this and get the evidence. Get the evidence, and then you do this.
I can tell you one thing. Kayleigh McEnany never ran from the podium.
Thank you. I did not. And Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House.
But you wanted to.
Maybe I wanted to.
Every president wants to.